Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins in 2025 are not getting the kind of attention you might expect for a team with their pieces in place, and that's precisely why I believe they're one of the true sleeper teams of the NFL season. A sleeper team, for those who might not know, is that group nobody talks about until suddenly they're upsetting contenders and making noise in the playoffs. Think about the Bengals back in 2021 when they stormed into the Super Bowl, or even the Commanders in 2024 who shocked everyone by knocking out the Lions. It's not about being the flashy pick, it's about being overlooked, underestimated, and then proving everyone wrong. And when I watch what this Dolphins roster has, with their balance of talent, coaching, and the chance to get healthy at the right time, I can't help but see a team ready to shock the football world. One of the biggest reasons people are sleeping on Miami is that the national media is simply not paying attention. You turn on any talk show right now, and all you hear is Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, or maybe a side conversation about the Lions bouncing back. But the Dolphins? Crickets. And that's perfect because history has shown us that teams who fly under the radar have the best chance of surprising everyone. When no one expects you to compete, you're not weighed down by outside pressure, and you can go about your business quietly. The AFC East alone provides drama, with Buffalo always being touted as the favorite, but that's the very test Miami needs to show they belong. Matchups against Baltimore and Kansas City later in the year will offer opportunities to prove they can hang with the league's elite. Being doubted is motivation, and Miami has plenty of it heading into this season. Now let's talk about that offense, because people tend to forget how explosive it really is when healthy. Back in 2023, this Dolphins unit led the league in yards and ranked second in points scored, only behind Dallas. That's no small feat. They weren't just good. They were flat-out electric, the kind of offense that kept defensive coordinators up at night. And yes, it all comes down to Tua Tagovailoa. People want to dismiss him because of his injuries, but when he's healthy, the numbers don't lie. Miami wins football games at a high rate. He's got the accuracy, the poise, and the chemistry with his receivers that makes this team dangerous every Sunday. The injury narrative might always follow him, but you could say the same thing about any quarterback. What would Kansas City be without Mahomes? Buffalo without Allen? Baltimore without Lamar? The Dolphins are built to put up points, and if health cooperates, they can be deadly again. The thing with Tua that often gets lost in the national chatter is just how efficient he's been when given the chance to play a full stretch of games. His win percentage at Hard Rock Stadium is one of the best among active quarterbacks, and he ranks near the top of the league in overall win rate when he starts. People love to point out his injuries, but ignore the fact that he played an entire season in 2023 and took Miami into the playoffs. That's the kind of overlooked resume that screams sleeper potential. And it's not just about him. This is a system under Mike McDaniel that maximizes speed, spacing, and precision. With playmakers who can turn a 10-yard gain into a 60-yard touchdown in the blink of an eye, this offense still has the blueprint to be one of the scariest in the NFL. If Tua stays upright, watch out. But let's not act like offense is the only storyline here. Defense matters just as much, and this is where Anthony Weaver comes into the picture. He's an up-and-coming defensive coordinator who already carries the reputation of being a mastermind, and his presence might be the most underrated move Miami has made in years. Weaver brings the kind of energy and creativity that can completely reshape this unit, much like what Spagnuolo has done for the Chiefs over the past decade. The Dolphins' defense has been riddled with injuries, especially at cornerback, but now with a mix of youth and veterans like Rasul Douglas, there's a foundation to build on. Add in Afitu Melifonwu and Ashton Davis at safety, plus the possibility of Storm Duck stepping into a breakout role, and suddenly you start seeing the outlines of a defense capable of complementing the offense. Weaver's vision could be the missing piece. The front seven in particular is where I think this Dolphins team can truly separate itself. Imagine a healthy Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips back in the lineup, both guys who have dealt with setbacks but are still dangerous when on the field. Add in Chop Robinson, Matthew Judon, Zach Sealer, and first-round pick Kenneth Grant, and you're looking at a defensive front that can cause serious problems for opposing quarterbacks. We've seen over and over in the NFL how important it is to generate pressure with your front, and if Miami can consistently win at the line of scrimmage, that takes massive pressure off their young secondary. A pass rush that creates chaos leads to turnovers, and turnovers swing games. If this group stays healthy and buys into Weaver's system, they can turn Miami into one of the most balanced teams in football. That's the kind of formula sleeper teams are made of. The beauty of labeling the Dolphins a sleeper is that expectations aren't sky high. Nobody outside of Miami is demanding a Super Bowl appearance this season, and that's exactly the advantage they need. Instead, they can focus on stacking wins, developing consistency, and sneaking up on teams who overlook them. It's that lack of attention that gives them room to grow. People doubted them in 2008, and they shocked everyone by winning the division. People doubted them in 2016, and they clawed their way into the playoffs after a terrible start. More recently, in 2023, they jumped out hot with 9 wins in their first 12 games before injuries slowed them down. This team has been through adversity, and they know what it means to fight back. If they can channel that underdog mentality again, they're going to be a very tough out in January. Another element that gets overlooked is the Dolphins' culture under Mike McDaniel. He may not look like your stereotypical tough guy head coach, but don't let appearances fool you. He's built an environment of trust, creativity, and accountability, and the players clearly buy into it. Culture matters in the NFL. Teams that believe in their coach and each other are often the ones that overachieve, and that's exactly the definition of a sleeper team. The Dolphins have already shown flashes of being resilient, but McDaniel's leadership could be the X factor in pushing them over the hump. A coach who knows how to get the best out of his players, while also adapting his schemes to fit their strengths, is a dangerous weapon. Pair that with a hungry roster full of guys with something to prove, and you've got a recipe for a team that nobody wants to see late in the season. So where does all this leave us? It leaves us with a Miami Dolphins team that checks every box for being that surprise contender in 2025. They're overlooked, which gives them the freedom to grow without national pressure. They have an offense that has already proven it can be the best in the league when healthy. They have a new defensive coordinator in Anthony Weaver who could unlock the true potential of their roster. And they have a head coach who has built a culture that players respond to. That combination is rare, and it's exactly what creates the kind of storylines NFL fans love when the postseason rolls around. Will it all come together? That's the gamble. But if it does, this Dolphins team could make waves in a way we haven't seen from them in decades. Don't be surprised if they're the story nobody saw coming. At the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins may not be anyone's preseason pick to win the AFC, and that's fine. That's what makes this whole conversation fun. Being a sleeper isn't about being the favorite. It's about having the tools to shock the league when the moment arrives. The fans have been waiting for 25 years to see a playoff victory, and 2025 might finally be the year they break that drought. Whether it's Tua leading the offense back to dominance, Weaver bringing the defense to life, or simply the energy of a team no one believes in, the Dolphins have what it takes to make this season memorable. So buckle up, because if history has taught us anything, it's that the NFL loves a good underdog story, and the Miami Dolphins might just be the team to deliver it in 2025. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? Big news is swirling around South Florida, and fans of the Miami Dolphins can finally breathe a sigh of relief, because after weeks of speculation, frustration, and whispered doubts about the special teams unit, the team has officially put pen to paper on a deal that could completely change the narrative for this season. Eddy Piñeiro, a name familiar to fans who have followed his career through ups and downs in the league, is now officially the new kicker of the Miami Dolphins, and that means the seemingly endless drama surrounding missed field goals and the nagging uncertainty at the kicker position may finally be over. For a team with championship aspirations, this isn't just another roster move. It's a psychological shift, a morale boost, and a statement to the fan base that management is willing to address every single weakness to make sure the Dolphins aren't haunted by special teams failures when it matters most in December and January. The signing of Eddy Piñeiro didn't come out of nowhere, but the timing of it feels almost cinematic, like the Dolphins front office waited for the precise moment when patience ran thin among fans and the locker room desperately needed clarity. For weeks, the storylines were dominated by chatter about inconsistency on field goal attempts, costly misses in practice reports, and the fear that crucial points were being left on the field. Miami, a franchise already under a microscope thanks to its high-octane offense led by Tua Tagovailoa and its dynamic receiving duo of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, could not afford to let such a critical detail unravel its momentum. Enter Piñeiro, who not only brings a steady leg, but also a reputation for clutch kicking under pressure. His career hasn't always been smooth, but resilience defines him, and now he arrives in Miami with a golden opportunity to silence doubters and become a hero in teal and orange. What makes this move even juicier from a storyline perspective is how it reflects the Dolphins' evolution as an organization. Not long ago, Miami was viewed as a franchise stuck in cycles of mediocrity, unable to fix glaring issues year after year. But under the current regime, every decision seems more calculated, more intentional, and this signing is another sign that nothing will be left to chance. By going after Piñeiro, the Dolphins are essentially saying, "We hear you. Fans, we feel your frustration, and we're not going to let something as fixable as kicking derail our season." That's a strong message, and it plays right into the growing sense that Miami isn't just a playoff contender. They're trying to build a roster that can go toe-to-toe with the heavyweights of the AFC. A reliable kicker can be the difference between heartbreak and history, and the Dolphins clearly understand that. For Eddy Piñeiro himself, this is more than just another paycheck. It's a chance at redemption. He knows the narrative around him. Talented but inconsistent, flashes of brilliance followed by stretches that left fans questioning his future. Yet he also knows that in the NFL, opportunities are scarce and reputation can change overnight with a single season of consistency. Miami is offering him not only a fresh start, but also a platform on one of the league's most exciting teams. The Dolphins' offense will move the ball, that's a given, but finishing drives with 3 points when touchdowns don't materialize will be his responsibility. If Piñeiro nails those kicks, he'll be celebrated. If he falters, the microscope will be unforgiving. That pressure might crush some players, but for others, it forges resilience, and Piñeiro seems eager to prove which category he belongs in. Fans, of course, are already buzzing with takes on social media, and the reactions are as passionate as you'd expect from a fan base that has suffered through years of uncertainty at key positions. Some are ecstatic, praising the front office for moving decisively to fix what was clearly a growing problem. Others are cautious, reminding everyone that Piñeiro is not without his flaws and that patience may be required. But the overall tone is one of cautious optimism, a sense that finally, the team has someone dependable enough to remove the constant anxiety that accompanied every field goal attempt in recent weeks. In Miami, where the sun, the spotlight, and the expectations are always burning hot, this type of move is exactly what keeps the fans engaged and hopeful that the season could turn into something truly special. From a locker room perspective, this kind of clarity matters more than most outsiders realize. Players want to know that when they drive the ball down the field and stall inside the red zone, the points are still going on the board. The defense wants to know that its hard work won't be undone by missed chip shots. Coaches want to focus on game planning, not second-guessing special teams decisions. By signing Piñeiro, the Dolphins have effectively stabilized a critical phase of the game that had threatened to become a distraction. That peace of mind trickles down through every unit of the team, creating confidence and cohesion. No one wants to admit it, but a reliable kicker is one of those invisible glue pieces in a championship run, the kind of factor that only gets noticed when it fails, and Miami just made sure it won't fail. It's also worth pointing out the broader implications across the AFC, where margins are razor-thin and playoff spots are often decided by a single game, sometimes even a single kick. Look at recent history. Teams have seen their Super Bowl dreams crushed by a field goal sailing wide, or cemented by a clutch kick splitting the uprights. Miami knows this, and the Piñeiro signing is as much about January football as it is about September consistency. The Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, all of these teams have reliable kickers, and the Dolphins could not afford to lag behind in that department. In a conference where one mistake can end an entire season, this move is strategic chess, not just roster maintenance. That's how serious this front office is about winning now. Of course, rumors are already swirling about the details of the contract, though nothing has been publicly confirmed beyond the fact that the deal is signed and official. The whispers suggest that Miami may have structured it in a way that balances security for Piñeiro with flexibility for the team, protecting both sides in case things don't work out. If true, that would be another masterstroke by the Dolphins management, showcasing their ability to manage risk while still solving urgent needs. It's not just about finding a kicker. It's about making sure that kicker is integrated into the larger vision for the roster, both financially and strategically. Piñeiro now has the backing of the team, but he also knows the expectations are sky high, and that dynamic could fuel him to deliver his best football yet. The human element shouldn't be overlooked either. Piñeiro is stepping into a locker room filled with stars, personalities, and leaders who expect nothing short of excellence. That can be intimidating, but it can also be inspiring. Imagine walking into a huddle where Tyreek Hill is setting the tone with unmatched energy, or where Tua is calmly commanding the offense with precision. In that environment, Piñeiro has a chance to feed off that culture, to raise his game simply by being surrounded by greatness. Miami isn't asking him to carry the team. They're asking him to do his job, to handle his role, with precision and confidence. Sometimes, that's exactly the formula a player needs to thrive, and Piñeiro may have landed in the perfect situation to unlock his potential. As the dust settles on this signing, one thing is crystal clear. The Miami Dolphins are all in, and they're not leaving any room for weaknesses to fester. The addition of Eddy Piñeiro may not generate the same headlines as a blockbuster trade for a star receiver or a franchise quarterback, but make no mistake, this move could be just as impactful in the long run. In a sport where every point counts and every game has the potential to define a season, having stability at kicker is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The Dolphins have secured that stability, at least on paper, and the entire NFL will be watching closely to see if Piñeiro can deliver when the lights are brightest. For now, the rumor mill has been silenced, the drama has ended, and Miami marches forward with renewed confidence in its pursuit of greatness. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.